Happy Saturday, everyone. We have one game to go through in this one. How good, though? I was a bit annoyed that we had to wait so long for NRL footy. We had our Origin, which was great, but 8 p.m. on Friday night, 10 p.m. for you New Zealand folk. But today, we've got 3, and then tomorrow we've got 3 again. So it is back to back to back to back to back. Sort out your loops. Make sure that is all sorted. Hopefully you're able to get a couple last night and put yourself on the right foot. Now, we had a couple of low scores there. Lucas, 38. We had Sharpe, 22. That was a lot of the majority of high percentage owners. And then we had a few point of difference type of guys, and we'll go through them in a sec. Now, the Dragons, they had Jaden Sewer go down with an ankle injury, and Fizz says that they're hoping it's a 1 to 2 week syndesmosis injury. So, not too bad. And I think they'll have small ramifications on the Dragons players and the forwards especially, guys like Stewart, guys like Couchman. Does he stay on the edge as big ones there? And then we're likely to have guys like Gula returning to his side fairly soon. Now, for Damien Cook, we'll say welcome into relevance, because the last few weeks he's gone up in the minutes and he's actually played the 2 best games of the season back to back. Frustratingly, his price now goes up. He does play 15 and 18. The question here with him is going to be, do the minutes stay? And now it's been something that hasn't been there all year. And let's have a little bit of just a quick look on it, because he becomes pretty interesting if you aren't super keen on Jazz Tavanga. Then Damien Cook comes into some people's thoughts. Now, the 3 weeks before that, he went 47, 48, and 44 minutes. So that's where the worry lies, and as to why he went so cheap. Before that, it was mid-40 scores, 58 minutes, 67, 67, and he didn't hit over 50 until he had that line break game against Manly, but then went for 340-odd minutes in a row. Now, the last 2, he's gone 2 try assists, the tackle numbers are back, and he's in a good spot price-wise. He's going to be tick over 600k now, which is getting back into that mid-40s type of price point. And he'll be interesting, but do you just go for this week the cheaper Tavanga, who is just over 500k and will be 100k difference to someone like Cook? Does that help you go for other guys that we're going to talk about in a sec, or do you just go bite the bullet on someone like Damien Cook, who has the pedigree of being a 50 plus, 60 plus scorer at times, and he's looking great at the moment, but is it just based on the injuries that the minutes are coming for him? That's going to be the big question there. Now, Couchman, how good is he? I love this man. 69, 44 tackles, 164 on the run meter side, 5 tackle breaks, did have an offload in there late as well. Picked up 48 points in the second half, so just wasn't really played down his side, and then the start of that second half was great. Got a few quick runs, plenty of tackles back to back to back, and scored really well. Now, I looped him. I'm going to send out one of my edge players as a starter. My mid-section's pretty beefed up right now, so he comes in and will be a good scorer there. So very, very happy on that one. And I think a few people would have done the same thing with Kaipi's Paul, who we'll get to in a little bit of time. So yeah, Couch, he's going to be one of those big targets, I think, over the next few weeks. If it's not next week, you had a pretty high break even with the injury game that he suffered. But from round 15, definitely, with the dual position, he can cover both. But I think mid will be the place you'll sit him. What's crazy, I think, is to have no attack, no turnover tackles, to get a 48-point second half is just so impressive. And it's just what he does. If he's on the park, he scores points. So shout out to Couch on that one. Hamish Stewart, big wins for him. Probably had an extra 5 to 10 max, I'd say. Sewer did play low 20s minutes there, and Stewart was on for all of that. So their rotation wouldn't have changed in that time. It was just for when he came back on. So I think he would have stayed on just for a little bit longer, potentially, or came on slightly earlier. So for him, 56 minutes, pretty close to where we thought it might be, that 45 to 58, that type of range. So maybe a little bit up. He got 45 points, was really good on that. It's going to be hard, I think, to buy Stewart now, following this week. So if you did jump on a good score there, you're probably not taking that 45 most likely anyway. Like, we're all very strong, but he'll be an asset for you in 15. So not too much else to say there. Hard to buy post this week. We had Lawson, a really good setup for him. He looked great. You got Tuipulotu to return likely next week. So, Lawson, I think he'll be fighting for a spot there. He's got Sloan to try and beat out on the other side, or if there's another injury to come. But he looked awesome. Clint Gutherson, just wanted to mention him. Scored a line break try early. Got a 36. So he's very much a tier below the best fullbacks, definitely in this list. So I've got him at like sort of 5th or 6th on that round 15 list even, which is pretty wild when you've got JC, Teddy, Drinkwater, Sharpe, as a top 4 clearly. You'd definitely have guys like Garrick and those guys over Gutherson Gutherson as well. Oh, gotta make myself laugh on Saturday mornings. So if you did buy him, yes, it's a point of difference play, but a lot of times the pod plays, they aren't great. King Tonga, he looked really decent. I thought he had an improved game, ran the footy well, very much a solid score. I think the 31 with no attack there. I think he's an easy enough hold, and I think you hope he keeps improving. He will face some tougher opponents for sure, which is where he might find it a little bit more difficult to get that attack in. But he did have a couple of grubbers for 4 dropouts, which was nice. 4 tackle breaks. Yes, had a couple of errors and some missed tackles, but good to see him running the footy. And little kicks around the line. That was a big win for him and owners of him. Like, at least he makes a little bit more money still. Well, actually, no, he would have break even be pretty close to 30 there. So he kind of stabilizes that and can continue to move forward, which is good there. All right, for the Knights. So small worry for them on Lucas per NRL physio. He did go off a little bit early, which he did for a couple of weeks ago where he had the 4 minutes early mark, but he did dive out apparently. So there's probably a bit of a worry on that shoulder, but they'd still had the 1 interchange left and the game was done. So if there's anyone with any injury concerns, which he is still carrying, then there's a good chance they take him off for that. There's also a chance that he did injure it. So we don't actually know. We'll wait till later in the week or weekend or team list on Tuesday to find that out. So hopefully he's all good, but didn't score great himself. Picked up a 38. Just a few negatives in his game at the moment. Last week he missed a lot of tackles. This week it was 3 misses and a penalty, and was very try reliant last week, given those base stats weren't very high. So that's a little bit of a worry. That's how it's happened since he's returned, that the base stats are a bit lower. Hopefully he's fit, and hopefully he's all good for the next couple of weeks, because we definitely need him. We can get away with it next week in round 14, most likely, if he is out. And then hopefully comes back in round 15 when we need him the most, like we did last week, to go big and get back to full health. So the only problem with this side is that they are just really struggling, and he's very much a focal point for them. Can't believe Ponga rested, hey? That's what a lot of people were saying, especially the commentators. And yeah, they're in a tough spot. But let's just go straight to Sharpe, actually, because ouch, that was a tough one. All I want to say, so it wasn't Ponga, hey? A lot of people were saying, you got to keep Sharpe back there, but I've been saying this whole week that Penrith were awful, absolutely awful, and the Knights still aren't a great team. I did tip them this week. I was like, surely they can, off the back of that, same team, they can have a bit of confidence, but no, they were terrible again, and I thought the Dragons played pretty solidly, especially losing Sewer early. He's an absolute weapon for them. He still scored a try, Jaden Sewer, but yeah, I think it's the team's fault. So whoever's in that fullback slot, apart from last week and a couple of games at the start of the season when they played very weak opponents, the fullback position is not where you want to be. So Sharpe in at 6 is safer. Yes, over the last 2 weeks, you've got a combined, 120, which is great, but and a 60 average. So that's fine. And he will be fine when he goes back to 6, unless they play a very easy team, which you would have thought the Dragons are in that mold, like a mid-tier type of team. But yeah, I thought Sharpe tried his best, but absolutely no love for Knights fullbacks, definitely. Now, Kaipi's Paul's the big one on the list here. He scored that try. Beautiful offload from Leo Thompson. So shout out to that. I don't own Leo or Kai, so that was a tough watch, that one. But yeah, 46 tackles for him. He just tackles anything that moves. Got a couple errors, got a penalty and an inside 10. So there's still plenty of negatives in his game. Minus 13. I was worried that once I saw him score that try, I was like, he 100% has to be in the 70s. But when you look back at the negatives, that's what slowed him down, because he had 57 in base to add on an offload and 3 tackle breaks in the try. But generally a very, very good score. And he's one of those guys I just think you can really trust. He's the Knight to buy. He looks great. He tackles anything. you play him each week in your team. Like hopefully you, or at least looping him or straight up playing him. I would have been very confident to straight up play him this week, and have been all of the last heap of weeks basically. But Leo Thompson that night, nice assists. Welcome back to a decent score. He's a very easy hold now with that 54. Still misses some tackles and whatever else, but good to see him not have a concussion or gastro. Gagai with his 49, moving in the right direction. He's actually improving over the last few weeks. He's goal kicking as well, but only had the one in this one. 1 line break assist, 8 tackle breaks, 204 run meters. So if he's there, he's going to get tries. He's going to have assists, line break assists, the odd offload and stuff like that. And that's where you want him to be. So they gave him a lot of ball in this one, which was great. And it was a great tussle with Val Holmes on that left-hand side. So Gagai, if you bought him, he's going to be, 540, 545, 550 after this one. And it's still an okay price, but the Knights are very poor. So I don't see them as being, or him being a very interesting type of buy. And then to finish this one off, guys, with Kyle McCarthy, I thought he looked really, really solid. And just goes about his work, makes his tackles, as his runs. He's up to an average of 31 now with that 37 that he just scored. I think he's an okay price, but he's getting a lot more expensive, and it becomes a bit tougher to buy someone like him with Best apparently looking to return in round 16. So Kyle should keep that spot for the next, the following 2 weeks, but then would lose it. So yes, if you wanted him for a wing fullback in round 15, then cool, but I don't think you can buy him now at like 370 or whatever it's going to be, which will be hard. And make sure if you do have Thomas Cant, then you do sell him. But yeah, it's just not happening for the Knights at the moment. Dragons really impressed, by them in this game, just to get the job done, not give them a sniff at all, and they're continuing their push into the top 8. So a few good scorers and a few good buys from both teams, but overall not two super relevant teams. So we'll leave that one there, and we look forward to the 3 games today. We have the JC fullback man with Titans up against the Storm. We have my cows and our captain May. I'm still seeing a few people not captain May, and I saw a few people captain Sharpe, so not sure what's going on there. When you've got a guy that's averaging 80 and has 2 tons in his last 4 without any attacking stats. Wild. And then Manly up against Broncos. So I'm very much hoping for a good Garrick score, and I suppose it's a good thing I can wait for my Iongi and Tamale down in wing fullback. And personally, no trade still. Kolomatangi probably comes in, probably plays on the edge for me. But yeah, we'll work it out. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one.